How's everybody doing today? What a beautiful day that nobody dropped a bomb on us today. Isn't it a beautiful day? Let's be thankful for that. Headlines from Iraq from March 9th through March 17th of this year. You can find it at icasualties.org. They call it week 265 and 266 of the occupation. On March 10th, a female suicide bomber on Monday killed the head of a local group of Sunni fighters northeast of Baghdad who had turned against Al-Qaeda insurgents. March 14th, a female suicide bomber killed 2 people and wounded 6 others, including 1 U.S. soldier in the town of Al-Zab, 20 miles southwest of the northern city of Kirkuk. March 15th, Department of Defense identifies Army casualties. Corporal Robert McDavid, 29, of Starkville, Mississippi, died March 10th in Baghdad of wounds suffered when a suicide bomber detonated an explosive device. March 14th, 3 bodies found in Baghdad on Thursday. March 14th, U.S. soldiers killed 2 suspected Al-Qaeda militants and arrested 24 others during operations in central and northern Iraq. March 14th, 2008, 1 person was killed and 6 wounded when a bomb on a parked motorcycle exploded near a municipal council building. March 14th, a 15-year-old girl was killed on Thursday when police opened fire on her family's car when it failed to stop at a checkpoint in Samara. March 14th, Department of Defense identifies Army casualty. Staff Sergeant Lauren West, 32, of Raleigh, North Carolina, died March 11th of wounds suffered when his vehicle encountered an improvised explosive device. March 12th, around 20 gunmen attacked a juvenile prison and freed 5 prisoners in Baghdad. 3 guards and 3 prisoners were wounded in the attack. March 12th, violence appeared to be on the rise in Iraq after a day that saw at least 42 people die. Numbers that cast doubt on the easing of sectarian violence following a surge of U.S. forces to the country last year. March 12th, 6 fuel trucks set ablaze, 3 drivers wounded in Mosul. March 15th, 1 man was killed when gunmen wearing Iraq Army uniforms attacked a house south of Baghdad. The man's son and brother were kidnapped. March 12th, death toll from Iraq Shiite city clashes rises to 17. At least 17 people have been killed, including 5 children, in fierce clashes between militants and Iraqi and U.S. forces in the Shiite city of Kirkuk. March 12th, 3 fuel truck drivers killed by roadside bombs near Samara. March 16th, car bombs wound 2 people in Baghdad. 2 people were wounded by a bomb in a parked car. March 16th, the suicide bombers who have killed 10,000 people in Iraq, including hundreds of American troops, usually are alienated young men from large families who are desperate to stand out from the crowd and make their mark. March 9th, car bomb kills 2, wounds 5 in Mosul.
U.S. occupation will never bring liberation. That's bullshit. Jump off it. This war is for profit. U.S. occupation will never bring liberation. That's bullshit. Jump off it. This war is for profit.
Dooney, son.
U.S. occupation will never bring liberation. liberation, that's bullshit. Jump off it. This war is for profit. U.S. occupation will never bring liberation, that's bullshit. Jump off it. This war is for profit. U.S. occupation will never bring liberation, that's bullshit. Jump off it. What do we want? Bring them home. What do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Bring them home. When do we want it? Now. U.S. out of Iraq. 6 years, over 1 million Iraqi civilians dead, close to 4,000 U.S. troops dead, and for what? So we're going to march around a little bit. We're going to let people know we're going to put this war back on the agenda. We're not going to let them ignore it anymore. This war is stealing money from our communities and putting it into the pockets of oil corporations and the Pentagon, and we've had enough of this shit. So we're going to start marching soon, and then we're going to meet back up at the new union, and we're going to give some speak out. We're going to do a little speak out against the war, and then we'll see what's what.
End this war! 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 End this war!
Million eyes in this city, we are counting on all of them. See this? Algo, algo. What does it mean to live in a constant state of anticipation where hearts embrace to erase the trace of faces we implicate into the dark spaces outside the place of our ethical relations? We hasten the security like fingers racing towards the locks on car doors like they were locks on cell bars, and for that one instant we were the cops that were in charge. What does it mean to live in a city whose concrete creaks with security priests that beat heads still? Trains that start lie below they tracks, and ain't nobody there to stem that and blow a crack. This ain't an axia. Overstand like a crowded subway system whose splayed veins house the thump but feel like heartbeats that pump like pistons. Are you listening for when the MTA announcements begin to start switching like, ladies and gentlemen, if you see a suspicious package, don't worry, the train car does double as a super deluxe casket. So even though your ass has been blasted so far through recognition you pass it, rest assured your demise will be replayed like we were the DJ in your desk, the classic, till it's stretched over so many demands for attack. It's like fuck what you were called, your new name's elastic. Now call me spastic, but you could also kiss my ass if you think victims of 9/11 are rendered anything but plastic. Archetypes for the hype for shit like wars in Iraq. It's disastrous the way this country's filled with amnesiac rap bastards who got their histories ass backwards. Like how many search and seizure procedures that seize people at leisure is gonna take for you realize the war on terror ain't separate from the one in sativa. For anyone left behind, this is some species of brief. But back to the poem, this ain't a conspiracy theory neither. When there's a criminalization of the ghettos happening on an international level with alibis ranging from drugs that are peddled to insurgency rebels, and it's against this that all I want to do is spit in acidic soliloquy that'll hit veins with thoughts lyrically be, spill them to the sword, sprout vines of militancy and strengthen spawns and body parties that fight diligently against lines of violent paradigms of thought that reign tyrannically. You can see between our avarice and the gaping holes in our ethics that swallow souls, holding that ravenous. We hollow out the value of others' lives till they ask cavernous as the torsos and poor souls that roll to the flow because they blood flows as fast we name foes and make holes with M16s whose shots riddle the dead and riddle our heads with blood-soaked threads that embed themselves in the fabric of responsibility that I could only hope to convey in this montage soliloquy like the soldier killing from such a distance. It's like more feet than the colony of Millipede. Sweatshop workers left to die because of a Nike. There's simply so much utility. The image of a West African immigrant shot 41 cops. Cops didn't have the ability to unhandcuff their minds from bars that didn't rhyme, but behind which lied blackness in its entirety. Color criminalized as fast Iraqis is trapped in the fire's heat of smart bombs. It's why, like Kweli, I'm trying to write these songs to right these wrongs and stop the violent rituals propagated by us as individuals that leave so much blood in the residual. We become myopic. So I'm trying to rock these rhymes in order to stop it and rock criticism in the cockpit of awareness. So next time we have something more important to think about than a Hilton heiress. Because in all fairness, the worst foes to the status quo ain't ones who blow holes in the heads of presidents, rather ones who blow whole precedents out the heads of citizens.
Peace be with you, brother or ma'am. What we're doing right now is a little bit of civil disobedience. So you have to be careful when you say civil disobedience, people start to get a little upset. That's the point of civil disobedience. And we want everybody to know it.
Sorry. Guys are looking for him.
Yeah, and so is Planet Television. I don't see us anymore with trying to so we only bully people that we're no.
have my fun.
Saturday night.
Yes. I mean, come on. I support counter protests as well. Good.
All right, everyone! Thanks for coming out today. This has been an awesome march. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start speaking. Whoever wants to say anything about what's going on. And this war affects us all.
Yeah.
All of us. Every single day. This government wages war on us. Every single day, corporations wage war on us. This university is here largely and has grown largely as a result of military development contracts. This university exists to make us nothing but nice, happy workers and their fucking corporate fascism. And it's time for us to stand up. It's been 5 years already. Some of us remember what it was like before this war, hitting the streets in the millions and telling this government that this war is bullshit. And what did they do? They launched it anyway.
Fucking laughed at us.
That is fascism in every definition of the word. And right now it's our time on this day to begin to stand up and fight back against this. This is our lives that we're talking about here. And so now, I want to hand this bullhorn over to whoever has anything to say. Step up.
Got it. Good Melanie. Every time.
I'm going to be talking on behalf of a friend of mine. I lost freshman year, one co-student, another peer of mine. I have one friend mentally ill. The Army decided to put a great idea to put a gun in his hand and send him to Afghanistan. These are our peers, people our age. 5 years of this bullshit. And what are we going to do about it? No longer sit back and talk about it? We need action. We need people to take to the streets and no longer sit back in our comfortable bubble that we call our college experience. I'd like to see more action. That's all I got to say, and God bless my friend out there and everybody here. And I know this has affected everybody, and everybody knows somebody over there. So God bless us.
I just came back from New Orleans after spending 2 months down there, and I have to report that there is some hope for people who have been really screwed by the system, by the United States government. Every death, every bomb, every bit of action that took place in Iraq is somehow reflected along the Gulf Coast in what they have not been able to do. But individual Americans, the spirit of young Americans, every week that we were there, we met new groups coming in, very often just for 5 days. Some of you probably have been down there. I'd say continue to go down there. But also, as the young woman said a little while ago, it's time to get to the streets. It's beyond that time. 5 years ago today, there were 12 of us who blocked the entrance to the federal building in Binghamton. One of the individuals was from the University of Vermont, one from Binghamton University. We eventually went on trial. There was very little put in the newspaper about it. It was a good trial, but very little. Back on about page 17, a minor issue. The front pages, of course, were loaded with the great heroism that was going on by that time of American soldiers killing Iraqi people. Shock and awe. So I'd say that it's time, people, that we must do something. Our banner said, "This office is closed." And people came up and asked us, "Is it really closed?" We said, "Yes. There is no business going on today." So that's why we were eventually arrested and put on trial. But the fact is that it's time. If we had a draft, there would be thousands of people probably here if there was a draft. But they're in there sitting now, having their coffee and their dessert. That's not a problem. Dorothy Day, the individual who during World War II and during the Vietnam War was totally opposed to the use of war, she said what must be done is to comfort the afflicted, but also inflict the comfortable. You just did that. You inflicted the comfortable. Right on.
All right. I don't know how to use this thing yet. This is my first time talking at a protest. I just like to say, this is what it's like to be free. This is what it is to be an American, to be a citizen, to just to have free rights. Like, if the media covers this right now, what are they going to do? They're going to call us a bunch of terrorists. I just want to ask, who are the real terrorists? Who funds these wars? Yeah. Look at the organization who makes money off rebuilding other countries. Look at all the people running for president. Look at the Democrats and the Republicans. Are they any different from each other?
Same shit, different toilet.
The Council on Foreign Relations, the CFR, the Bilderberg meetings. Look at all these organizations who have these secretive meetings, and they tell us they're facing each other. They tell us they're different than one another, but we get them in the office, and then the war continues. They make us think that war is normal, that we have no say, that we're powerless, that we have to go to work every day. They make us think that we're nothing. But when people gather like this, we have change, we have impact. And they'll call us terrorists if they cover this on the media. But who are the real terrorists? Look at the media. Look at all these people that own the media. It's the alternative media. It's the people recording this right now who's going to put this on the internet. These are the people who are actually getting the real message out. And we need to start waking up. We need to start taking action. I just think that we need to gather as people more. You need to start talking to other people. And just look at these organizations. For real, this war has to end, and it has to end by us speaking out. You can't ask for a revolution. You can't ask for peace. You can't go and ask your senators and your congressmen, oh, can we please be free now? You have to demand it. You have to be peaceful about it, though. Because if you're violent about it, they'll come in and they'll just call you terrorists. And they'll take your freedoms away. You have to start looking into things like martial law. And look at 9/11. We're in Iraq now. But aren't we supposed to be in Afghanistan? Didn't we blame them for 9/11? What about this war on terror? We have no freedoms anymore. Look at the Patriot Act.
Here we go. Right.
I'm from England, which has forever been America's lapdog. Yeah! And I think it's time that we all just stop this bullshit and stand as one, as people, not countries, as humans. Worldwide we stand up. That's how we'll stop it.
I'll admit, I know nothing about politics. I know nothing about war. But I know that my friend is about to go to his second tour in Iraq, and he wants to come home. He wants to start a family. He wants to take care of the people back home, and he's worrying about what's going to happen if something happens to him. I just want him to come home. I want everyone over there to come home.
Bring him home.
One could easily describe marching around and yelling as ineffectual, you know, that it's not effective work in ending war. Cynically, I might have to agree. We're not going to end war. But if you stub your toe and cry out in pain, does that change anything? I mean, you might... Sorry. Cry out in pain, even if you don't... You're not changing the stubbed toe, but it doesn't make you any less angry about it. Now...
Take a deep breath.
We didn't stub our toe. The U.S. government stubbed our own toes. And, apathy is not the answer.
Yeah? Yep.
All right, so he just said there's many cynics about whether or not our marching and our protests are going to stop the war. And whether or not, it's not about, I mean, it's about stopping the war, but it's about letting the troops know that those who are against it have support in the country. It's about letting them know that they don't have to keep going on because that's what the general tells them to do. It's not their duty to fight for this country, and as the citizens, we need to let them know what their duty is and what it's not. And it is not to go to be in Iraq fighting this war. And we just need to let them know, make them comfortable so that they can reject what they're doing, because maybe they don't see the support that they have over here. So we need to show them the support.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is George McAnanima, and I've talked to some of your student leaders on campus. They invited us here. I'm the chapter president of Broome County Veterans for Peace. I'm a Vietnam-era veteran, and I'm very saddened by where we are today as a country. And I apologize to you. I apologize to you because we stopped the Vietnam War, but we did not kill the policy that allows our foreign policy to so easily go to war. That we use it as a tool in our diplomatic bag, threatening people, cajoling them, and when that doesn't work, we go in and we actually confront them in a very violent way. And people die. And what we got to remember is we got to start seeing Iraqi children, how they're suffering. If this country has any kind of sense of decency, we have to see the suffering of the people of Iraq and Afghanistan. If we don't see it, then shame on us. But I'm so proud to be here with you guys today. It's an honor to be here. And I applaud your efforts. And I want to roll this back 5 years and say after 9/11, it was a little more than 5 years, I started trying to rationalize. I say, who could hate us this much to do this? And I started reading, and some of this is the product of our policy. We reap what we sow. We're propping up an illegal dictatorship in Saudi Arabia, the Vanel Corporation over there, and other mercenaries and paramilitary organizations are propping up an illegitimate regime. And we are occupying Holy Land in Saudi Arabia. Mecca and Medina fall within Saudi Arabia. So we are viewed as infidels, propping up people who have no right to power in their country. But because we get cheap oil from them, and we've been subsidized for many, many years, we're addicted to it, we become a tool of those evil people in Saudi Arabia, and so therefore we're viewed as infidels. And we got to remember that the view, if you look at who the terrorists were on those flights that slammed into the buildings in the Pentagon and landed in Pennsylvania, how many of them was from Saudi Arabia? Was it 15 or 16? And yet we're able to label Al-Qaeda a terrorist, Taliban a terrorist. Everyone's a terrorist except the people that are trying to free their homeland from our yoke, and they're doing it in the only way they can because they are restricted in their country from acting out. They're put to death. They're crushed by our paramilitary that helps keep that illegal dictatorship in power in Saudi Arabia. But anyway, thank you for being here. Bring more people next time. Educate yourself. One book I would recommend is The Future of Political Islam. And if, like one of the speakers prior to me said, without demand, power gives up nothing. And read Frederick Douglass on that. Okay, so thank you very much.
Before I say a quick thing, I want to say also that the power relationships that lead us into illegal wars and occupations don't just stop at the White House and the Pentagon. They're right here on this university campus. They're right here on this university campus. They're up there. They're in the Cooper administration building with unilateral decisions to further arm our police, to cut EOP, to cut funding, to homogenize the student body, to decrease diversity, to support racist speakers that come to speak here, like one's coming up in April. So the point is that we need to stop, if we're going to change the power relationships of this country and stop occupation and war, we got to change the power relationships of this university. And towards that end, on April 3rd, Thursday, April 3rd, we'll be having a student power rally at 1 p.m. meeting at the fountain, and we're going to march on the Cooper administration building to put our voices back on the agenda for this university. The other thing I want to say quickly is that occupation doesn't begin in Iraq and Afghanistan and Palestine and every other place that the U.S. empire reaches its tentacles. It begins right here on stolen Onondaga Haudenosaunee land. And that might, come as a shock to us because our history of this nation is completely wiped out of this. We have no idea. Here we are in Binghamton University. We have Onondaga Hall. We have Seneca Hall. You ever ask yourself, where the fuck are the Onondagas? Where the fuck are the Senecas? Right now, the Onondagas are trying to take back some of their land. They're filing a land rights action in state court to make the state pay for the illegal land taking. They're not trying to kick anybody off this land. Why would they want to do to us what we did to them? But they want to change the fundamental way that we conceptualize our country. This is occupied territory, folks. Welcome to Palestine. Welcome to Iraq. Welcome to Afghanistan. This is Onondaga land. So it's important to keep that in mind. As we both fight for student power, it's also important to remember that we are guests here, and we need to start rethinking our relationships to this land and our communities. And that's all I wanted to say about that. So keep that in mind also. Imperialism didn't start with Iraq. It started here. But I will say, the U.S. should get the fuck out of Iraq right now. U.S. out of Iraq.
Yes, hello. It's good to see everybody here. And some of the words that I'm saying are not mine, but the people that have taught me along the way. The first is Michael Franti, who said, you say you're a Christian because God made you. You say you're a Muslim because God made you. You say you're a Jew because God made you. And then you go to war because God told you to. We stand together today because we all know that this war is wrong. And we have pain from seeing people come home from war. We have pain from experiencing the deaths of the people that we know. And it is necessary to cry. When a baby cries, we're moved to have to come and pick it up and shelter it. If we did nothing with this pain, then we would lose. But you know what? We're standing here today, and you know there's something that we can all agree on, and that is that we want peace. But we can't just fight out. We can't just lash out the same way that we feel the pain from it. We need to learn the way of peace and follow the way of peace, and that's the only way that we can truly teach the way of peace to our leaders. And in that, we will be the leaders because we will be the first ones to make that move. And after us, everyone will follow. It's a matter of taking everyone here, everyone in the cafeterias, everyone with their heads down, pretending that there's nothing happening now, and getting them to realize that we need to wake up, and we need to be the ones to make this change and bring peace to the world.
Hey, I just wanted to say, there's a kid right there, I hate to single you out, you have a sign saying, except for ending slavery, Nazism, fascism, and communism, war never solved anything. A very tongue-in-cheek comment, I guess, directed towards us. But what is this war for? What is it ending, you know?
Dictatorship, I mean?
Dictatorship? Why is it dictatorship? What problems are there in the Middle East that we haven't had some involvement with? And also, war shouldn't be the answer. When we can just go to our leaders, when we have the power to vote for people and say when the election comes up that we won't vote for anyone who supports the continuation of these policies, that's where we don't need a war. We can end it right now. That's all it takes. People making up their mind that they're not going to put up with this bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of new to this speaking in front of large crowds of people thing. Let's not give him his space. How many of us are there and how many are there of him? He's the fucking fascist. Anyways, so I'm new to this speaking in front of a lot of people thing. That's kind of what I'm saying. But alright, so I'm going to stand up. If there's any speakers that want to go after me, that's fine. But I just wanted to say that I've been to several of these rallies before. I've seen more people than this. I've seen 500,000 people in D.C. And unfortunately, the media is so consolidated and whatnot that they just don't report on it. So I was going to say that there's an unendorsed march going on right after this. We're going to go at the Vesta Parkway. It's not sponsored by any groups. I'm specifically saying that so the administration doesn't penalize anybody. But anyways, we hope to get to the recruiting station and whatnot. Many more people obviously need to be inconvenienced before this war is realized by everybody. Okay, this war's been going on for 5 fucking years.
5,000 coalition of the so-called willing dead, 4,000 U.S. troops, and 1 million Iraqis, and that's a conservative estimate. So what the fuck is going on, all right? Let's take to the streets. As the old saying goes, whose streets? Our streets.
Disobedience is not a terrible crime. War is the terrible crime of our age.
That's right.
I think we're about to end up soon, I guess, but I just want to say something really quickly. When I first heard about this, I heard that we were going to bring democracy and civilization to Iraq, and that struck me as ironic. How the fuck are we going to bring civilization to one of the oldest civilizations in the world? Everyone took their history class, everyone have a Sumer. I just like to say also before everyone's talking about the politics, let's look at the culture. What kind of culture are we? How do we allow this to happen? It's not just the politics. The war didn't happen because 5 white guys got in a room and said so. There's the culture that suspends it. This is everything. You, me, everything that's inside of us. Our culture is in America. And with that, I just want to say that this war is not the last war you're going to see in the Middle East. I didn't hope to burst any bubbles. There will be another war. I'm going to give you a forewarning right now. The wars of the future will not just be fought with bullets. They'll be fought with information. Your news sources come from smaller and smaller amounts of people. And it's up for you to decide and go out on yourselves. And Sherry Haskins.
Woo, Sherry! Woo! Hey, I'll speak for Sherry. I just wanted to say that even though it's not a great crowd here today, it's not as big as maybe we all hoped, each and every one of you are making a difference. And this isn't an anti-war protest. This is a celebration of peace and a celebration of life. And we went to Ithaca over the weekend, and we went to a celebration of peace there, an anti-war rally there. And we looked around, and there were so many children. And when you looked around, you said, war isn't inevitable. The inevitability is peace, and we have to celebrate that. And we really are making a difference through everything we did today, every word everyone said. So thank you. Woo!
So, I'm sorry if anybody did not get to speak yet, but I'm actually going to start moving out towards Vestal Parkway because our numbers are thinning, and there is strength in numbers. The pigs aren't going to do anything to us if we're this many. Many people need to be inconvenienced to be aware of this war. And their gas-guzzling SUVs on Vestal Parkway, it's okay to delay them a few minutes because a lot of Iraqis are delayed every day by death of their family members. So 5 years too many. Let's go.
Woo! Vestal Parkway, shut it down!
Let's shut it down.
A little incipient. I worked out in UP, and I had a recruiting officer come in. And I said, good morning, as always. I'm not against you, but the people that make the decisions. Victor comes on, he goes, wow, all the people running our country are quite corrupt. I kind of looked at him, he goes, but they pay me. So, just for a little incipient.
Fuck him.
Fuck that shit, and I wouldn't give him his coffee.
Let's
Yeah.
stay tight.
Power in numbers, power in density, power in numbers, power in density, power in numbers.
blood for oil! In the street! No blood for oil! 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 This is what democracy looks like! Tell me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Tell me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Tell me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Tell me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Tell me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Tell me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Tell me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Tell me what democracy looks like! Democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! No justice! No peace! This is what democracy looks like! No justice! No peace! Fuck the police! No justice! No peace! Fuck the police! Who are the real terrorists? Hulk, if you're against the war! Hulk! Hulk, if you're against the war! Hulk, if you're against the war! Give me one, old man! No blood for oil! 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 No blood fucking colonialism! End this fucking war!
End this war! End this war!
Not in our fucking name!
End this war! 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 End this war!
Back up where? Back up where? Fucking pigs! Get this on camera, man. Shame on you! 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 Someone sitting right here, film this! Yes, please, film this. Film this! Get the camera on there! Listen, he ran
End this war!
break our city by taking away Buffalo, because they're gonna go to the prisons and they're gonna spread the word in the prisons. We're gonna spread the word out in the public. You are continuing the war by arresting our friends.
Are you taking somebody else to the restaurant? For no apparent fucking reason. Let's go!
Everyone on the parkway knows. Everybody can see the brutality. Everyone can see it. It wasn't hard to see
We love you guys. We love you,
Someone might be hurt. Please, officers, go and assist them.
Listen, in solidarity with you.
Watch out, sir. Sir, watch out. We got a car coming, okay?
Close your eyes.
No, there is.
Yeah, if we went through successfully.
Not getting off the road. We open up with pepper spray.
Binghamton University folks disperse. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Time to go. You, let's go. They're probably going to think about arresting all of you. They've got enough. Don't resist. Don't resist. Not violence. They lose when they are violent. Don't you be violent. Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King got it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right through the stop sign. Down here, yeah. Seems like they tried to do this.